Okay. In Tayside, I've been the deputy there since November last year. And I guess I've brought some stuff that I was doing in West Midlands to Tayside. So in West Midlands, we were looking at effective use of Twitter and Facebook, but keeping that at a very local level. So through neighbourhood policing, making sure that neighbourhood policing teams were aware of how you could use social networking to have this online presence that added value to the face-to-face meetings. Because what I wouldn't want anyone to think is that in any of this we're looking to replace what we currently do. What we can say is that this is a really cost-effective way of expanding the face-to-face meetings that we traditionally run. So I think it's important just to understand that it's complementing and supplementing, but it's very cost-effective. So I think the effective use of Facebook, Twitter, at that very local level has proved successful. In Tayside, there's a different structure in terms of community policing, response policing. It's because of the structure of the force, and you have less concentrated populations. You don't tend to have that same split between, a sort of dedicated response team and dedicated neighbourhood teams. We've got some officers who carry out a community role, but numbers-wise, it's a slightly different mix. So the use of social media there has to be thought through just in a slightly different way. That's less defined in terms of saying, this is about neighbourhood policing, this is about your neighbourhood team, because we don't have the neighbourhood teams that I would have had at my disposal in somewhere like West Midlands. So the use has had to be refined slightly. But what we are doing is encouraging officers to use Twitter, particularly our community officers, where I think it's more relevant as a community officer to have that online conversation, a two-way conversation, than a response officer who generally, deals with issues but passes the problem-solving stuff on to somebody else. So where we have, I think, tried something which is fairly innovative is the stuff we're doing with My Police. And we've piloted that for the last 3 months. The pilot's about to come to an end. But My Police is essentially something that gives us an online presence. It builds Twitter into the My Police template. But what it is an independent feedback tool. So for example, if somebody wanted to make a comment, either negative or positive, about the police, but didn't want to get involved in the bureaucracy of engaging with the complaints process, and felt, I've got something to say, and let's just say it was a level of service that hadn't been delivered maybe to the way that they would have liked, but not to a level where they felt they wanted to raise a complaint. But the end game was, I think I could help the police deliver a better service. Then the My Police site helps them to do that. And it helps them to do that by having an independent site where any member of the public can access, can leave whatever their story is about that police force. And in Tayside, we've currently restricted that to a fairly small geographical area for the pilot. But anyone within, anyone who lives within one of these communities served by that pilot can leave on this independent website any message they want, good or bad. Now clearly that has to be moderated, but it's moderated by people from My Police. So there's an independence there. So just because there's a story there that maybe we wouldn't like, or maybe we would feel would rather the public didn't know about that, well, that's not a matter for us. And My Police only moderate the story if there's something there that would either prejudice a trial or would be libelous. Other than that, if it's just criticism of the force, but actually it's not offensive and it's not breaking any rules, that remains on the website. So there is a risk involved in that, because clearly from my point of view, if we're not delivering a good service and we're continually letting people down, and they've got something negative to say about Tayside Police, then they've got a forum now to say that. Equally, if people are really positive, then they've got a forum to leave positive messages.